Now is Dillon Gabriel's significant other jumping into the drama.
Whoa,
She
what happened?
posted
What
a
happened?
TikTok saying, "My fiance Dillon is not playing. I have thoughts about that, but I'm not going to share it." She then captioned another with "Browns lost. What's new?" But then he got into a disagreement with a commenter on a post and wrote, "Actually, everyone in the building wants him to play, but you wouldn't know because you've never been into the NFL or."
This has been a long 24 to 48 hours for Dillon Gabriel. His girlfriend's fiance, whatever the hell she is, has pumped this young man in the hot water and definitely put him in a situation that he cannot get out of. Now, I am here to tell you, Browns insiders is letting it be known. Dillon Gabriel 2000.
You won't believe this actually went down, and Browns fans might have to breathe into a paper bag after hearing it. Just when everyone thought Cleveland already hit its chaos limit, the front office calmly walked over, slapped the giant panic button, and benched Dillon Gabriel for the entire 2025 season. No warning, no buildup, nothing. One day he was the future, and the next he was tossed into the football shadow zone like he vanished from the depth chart overnight. No injury talk, no slow decline, no dramatic collapse, just a clean, brutal benching that felt like it dropped out of the sky.
Listen, we see this all the time. We see family members display their frustrations, whatever they may be, really not understanding how the game works, the ins and outs of it. And, she wants her fiance to be on the field. He's not on the field. Shadeur has been chosen to be the quarterback.
How would she know everybody in the building wants him to play?
They've been on the news for how long?
I'm asking you, how does she know that? Unless somebody pillow talking.
Because we all knew, going way back to June, Dillon Gabriel was not the guy. Why was Dillon Gabriel getting them first team reps? Why was Dillon Gabriel being put on a pedestal that he could not live up to? Me personally, I feel like Kevin Stefanski hurt Dillon Gabriel more than helping Dillon Gabriel, because Dillon Gabriel looked like crap. I'm going to just keep it honest with you. Look like doo-doo. And forced Dillon Gabriel being able to play another down in the NFL.
So what really happened behind those closed-door meetings? Why now? Things got wild real fast. The crazy part is everyone's acting shocked, like this decision was some last-second accident, as if the Browns woke up, wandered into the facility, slipped on a Gatorade puddle, hit their head on the playbook, and said, "Yeah, let's sit Dillon Gabriel for the whole season." No hints, no clues, no build-up, just straight confusion flying everywhere. Except here's the twist. Those clues were sitting right there for months, lined up like a trail leading straight to this exact moment. And now everybody wants to act brand new, pretending they didn't see the giant loaf of evidence at the end of it. And this mess didn't start on the field either. It didn't start in practice. It didn't start with teammates side-eyeing each other in the locker room. This whole thing kicked off in that messy gray zone where personal drama and professional meltdown shake hands and start plotting together. That zone where one little issue quietly grows teeth and suddenly bites the whole season. One minute everything was trust the process, and the next Cleveland woke up to trending headlines, sketchy explanations, tight-lipped interviews, and insiders who suddenly found the confidence to start talking loud. Silence can be powerful, right until it breaks wide open and the whole situation spills out everywhere.
Just because the Browns lost, and just because I don't think Shadeur played awesome, I would not go back to Dillon Gabriel by any means. Shadeur did nothing that makes me think we should go back and see what we need to see more from Dillon. I don't think, just because I didn't think he played an A++ game doesn't mean I'm pulling the
I think he deserves the rest of the season to show what he can do.
The conversation about Dillon Gabriel going back in the game, or do we need to see more, is the most ridiculous conversation I've seen.
It trusted me for Browns versus 49ers.
Dillon Gabriel's fiance, Zoe Caswell, is catching a ton of heat after she appeared to take shots at starting quarterback Shadeur Sanders following the team's loss to the 49ers. In a recent TikTok video on Zoe's account, she captioned a video showing her outfit for the game, "Browns lost, what's new?" People were very quick to accuse her of doing this because Shadeur started and not Dillon, and comments like, "I don't remember these captions when your man was QB1," and "Love your content but very disappointed in the caption, need to support this team whether he's in or not."
By the time insiders whispered that Gabriel's season was done, it didn't even feel shocking anymore. It felt like the formality everyone was waiting on. The writing wasn't just on the wall, it was carved into it with a chisel, circled, underlined, stamped, and highlighted. The only real question was how long Cleveland was going to keep pretending there was still still a real quarterback battle happening? Turns out the answer was not long at all. And honestly, the benching itself isn't even the craziest part. What really gets people is how long they kept selling the idea that everything was fine. First team reps kept coming in like reruns of a show nobody asked to watch. Every week it was the same cycle. Hope on Tuesday, explanations on Thursday, disappointment on Sunday, and then another reset by midweek. Over and over again, like Cleveland had its own looped workout routine. Somewhere in all that, someone decided Gabriel was the guy, and the rest of the building just nodded along like those little dashboard dogs bouncing with every bump. Nobody wanted to be the person to say, hey, maybe this spotlight is a little too bright for what we're actually getting. And once someone gets placed on a pedestal, the fall is never smooth. It's loud, dramatic, and shakes the whole building when it hits. And the on-field play wasn't whispering warnings either. It was yelling. The reads looked slow, the timing felt off, and the confidence seemed borrowed instead of solid. Every drive felt like Cleveland was trying to talk the football into cooperating out of pure kindness instead of execution.
It is dumb, it's immature, it's silly, it's short-sighted. It seems like you don't know what you're talking about. I'll give you the example. If Dillon Gabriel and Shadeur Sanders switch positions, and we saw Shadeur Sanders for 6-7 games, right? And we saw what he can do. And then it was Dillon Gabriel's time. Would we sit here and say that we needed to see Shadeur Sanders again? Nobody would say that.
Gabriel's fiance.
What we said?
They said she posted a TikTok saying, my fiance, of course she gotta let people know that's my fiance, Dillon, is not playing. I have thoughts on that, but I'm not going to share it. Then another one, Browns loss was new. Yo, bro, how you feel about this? I'm dead, like. And then she got into a little disagreement, like with one of the comments, I guess.
This year, just completely kneecapped Dillon Gabriel because they really believed in him. Obviously, they took him in the 3rd round. But then to take Shadeur in the 5th, it kneecapped Dillon Gabriel from the beginning. You saw it yesterday. He comes on the field for a play. What happens? He gets booed.
To defend herself by saying it was a joke, but no one is seeming to buy it. But unfortunately, it doesn't end there, and another comment chain surfaced on her TikTok where she responded to comments saying that no one in the Browns building wants Dillon to play. She responded to the comments saying that everybody in the organization wants him to start over Shadeur and says that they haven't played in the NFL or coached, so how would they know? This is obviously a very odd comment coming from someone who has also not played or coached in the NFL.
The whole thing looked shaky from the jump, and now it's blowing up for everyone to see. And the football, being a football, absolutely refused to cooperate with any motivational speeches, no matter how hard Cleveland tried to will things into existence. By mid-season, the vibe around Gabriel had shifted from hopeful to straight up defensive, and that's the danger zone in this league. Once fans start defending a player's effort instead of celebrating real production, you already know that countdown clock is clicking loud. Nobody wanted to admit it, but everyone could feel it. When the quarterback carousel starts slowing down, someone's getting left standing without a chair.
Dillon Gabriel is making headlines, and not because of anything he said or anything he has done. We perceive Dillon Gabriel as pretty much a quiet guy, and we know that he's dealing with a lot because this is the NFL, and it's a competitive and it's an unforgiving sport, baby, or job in this matter, in his situation. And Dillon Gabriel's camp has been quiet since he's been benched for Shadeur Sanders.
Everyone in the building wants him to play. But, hey, why is she talking about you wouldn't know that because you've never been in the NFL or been a coach, right?
That's what I'm not. That's his old lady. Look at
that. You can't even say.
That's about to be Dillon Gabriel's wife. She has every right to defend her man.
Dillon Gabriel's fiance has brought some eyes to the team after a recent reply to a TikTok comment. So a user commented with a pretty long reply, but the end of the comment ended up saying, nobody in that locker room respects that little dude, in referring to Dillon Gabriel. In a since deleted message, she reportedly responded, actually, everyone in the building wants him to play, but you wouldn't know that because you've never played in the NFL or been a coach. I think she meant to say coach, but couch, right?
And then Shadeur Sanders stepped in, not quietly, not gradually, not in a let's see what happens kind of way. He came in and instantly flipped the whole situation into a highlight reel comparison that Cleveland couldn't ignore. Suddenly, the offense looked like it remembered it actually had tools to work with. The ball started moving with purpose. The pocket didn't feel like a trapdoor waiting to collapse every snap. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't playoff level, but it was alive. And in Cleveland, having something that feels alive might as well be a revolution. That's when things got awkward inside the building, because now the Browns weren't just protecting a struggling starter, they were staring at a real alternative that actually worked, and nothing makes a front office sweat faster than realizing the backup might not be a backup at all. That's when the evaluation timer officially kicked in, not just on Shadeur, but on every coach, every coordinator, every long-term plan, every board, every future decision. Everything suddenly carried more weight, and every mistake felt heavier than before. Right in the middle of that tension, Gabriel's situation went from unstable to straight up over. Behind the scenes, the messaging started switching up. The tone changed. The non-answers started sounding like answers wrapped in caution tape. People started throwing around words like data and evaluation like corporate smoke bombs meant to distract everyone. That's when you know patience has left the building and the serious conversations have entered the chat. And now here we are, officially benched. Not a 2-game reset, not a strategic rest, not a we'll see how he handles adversity. Just done, season sealed, clipboard in hand. That kind of decision never comes with a soft landing, and Cleveland didn't even pretend to make one. What makes it even more savage is the timing. The narrative didn't flip because of one rough game. It flipped after months of being told this was the plan, this was development, this was the future. Fans were told to hang on, but patience is Cleveland's most fragile resource. Now the same organization is basically saying, never mind, we're turning in a whole different direction, and it's happening fast. Here's where it gets even messier. The benching actually answers a much bigger question. The Browns aren't pretending anymore. They're unsure, and they've chosen their evaluation window with Shadeur as the lens. Every snap from here on out is less about the current season and more about April's decisions. Every throw is being measured against potential draft value.
Being Shadeur Sanders' backup quarterback, but now they are making some noise, and it's coming from his fiance. And all I can say, man, is the competitive juices are flowing. The competitive juices are flowing, man. Let's chalk this up to being competitive, right? Of course, Dillon Gabriel is not happy with Shadeur Sanders, but being Shadeur Sanders' backup. Dillon probably saw this coming a while ago. He knew it was coming. And some of his old comments may have been subliminal messages, and we just haven't picked.
This isn't just about stacking wins anymore. This is about figuring out whether this franchise needs to spend another high pick on another quarterback. Which means Gabriel didn't just lose the starting job, he lost the whole conversation around the future. And the coaching staff isn't safe in this either. This whole move ties everybody's future together like a tight little knot, whether they like it or not. If Shadeur comes in and cooks, the system gets praised like it finally clicked. If he struggles, suddenly it's the roster's fault. And if the offense keeps looking like a group project where nobody did the same assignment, the coach becomes the easiest exit route in the building. Cleveland doesn't always fire people with dramatic press conferences. They'll just stop answering messages, and that silence hits harder than a headline. That's what makes Gabriel's future so strange right now, because he's stuck in that uncomfortable NFL limbo. Too experienced to be a new project, too worn down to be a clear starter, too familiar to be exciting, and too risky to trust without a discount sticker attached to his name. The best case scenario for him now is probably landing as a backup somewhere that desperately needs insurance. The worst case scenario, a lot of travel, a lot of waiting, and not many guarantees at all. But let's get to the elephant sprinting through the offense right now. Jerry Jeudy, the receiver who was supposed to be the steady engine of this whole setup, has instead been flickering like a warning light on a dashboard. When he's locked in, the offense moves. When he's not, the whole thing stalls out, and lately the engine sounds like it's struggling to stay alive. There's something brutal about watching a quarterback get benched while his top receiver is dealing with his own disappearing streak, because it turns every evaluation into a tangled puzzle. Is the quarterback slipping because the receiver isn't delivering? Or is the receiver fading because the quarterback can't get him the ball the way he needs it? Cleveland is basically trying to solve a football version of which came first, the chicken or the interception. And the sideline tension didn't help. When a quarterback and his #1 target start showing frustration at each other, the entire stadium feels it instantly. It's never just about that one moment, it's what it hints at. Timing problems, trust slipping, unspoken irritation, and cracks that show up whenever drives stall and patience starts evaporating. This is when the outside voices start getting loud, analysts jumping in, former players sharpening their commentary, everyone suddenly becoming an expert on leadership and locker room rules. And when a veteran steps in and publicly tells a receiver not to bark at his quarterback, that isn't only about respect, it's about protecting the most fragile piece of an offense, chemistry. Because once that trust cracks even a little, every play feels heavier, routes get hesitant, decisions get tight. It's a wild contradiction. Be confident, but not too confident. Lead, but don't act like you're the main attraction. Win, but don't start believing you're a star yet. The messaging in this league can twist itself into knots. On one side, you've got people saying Gabriel shows real signs he can win in this league. On the other side, you've got people saying the entire environment around him is borderline impossible to work with. An offensive line struggling to keep things steady, a receiver room sputtering, and an offense that looks taped together with hope and quotes. It's hard to crown a quarterback when the whole kingdom feels like it's burning down around him, and yet that's exactly what Cleveland is gearing up to do. They're about to ride this evaluation wave straight through the chaos like nothing is shaking around them. Every completion from here on out will get hyped up as proof he's the answer. Every interception will get explained away by the surroundings, the system, the moment, anything but the new guy under center. The tape will be treated like ancient scrolls with secrets hidden inside, and when it's all over, someone in a polished suit will have to decide if this was enough evidence to shape the next 5 years of the franchise. The wild part is how quickly the narrative shifts. Suddenly everybody is acting like Gabriel was never part of the plan at all. Revisionist history works fast in the NFL. 1 minute you're the future, the next minute you're a tiny footnote in someone else's evaluation. And the organization sounds surprisingly calm about all this. No panic in the press conferences, no dramatic quotes, just a smooth redirection like they've been rehearsing it for months. And usually when everything sounds that calm, it means the real decision was made long before the headlines dropped. The wheels behind the scenes had already stopped turning. The public announcement was just the official ending to a ride that quietly ended weeks ago. Meanwhile, Shadeur gets handed the keys to a car that may or may not even have a fully working engine. Expectations will flip instantly. If he wins, people will say it's his heart and grit. If he loses, every flaw will be dissected under a microscope. Every throw will feel like a public vote on whether he's the answer or not. That's the invisible tax that comes with becoming the guy halfway through a season. And hovering above everything is the draft. April is the real finish line. Everything between now and then is just evidence collection. Cleveland is running a live trial in front of the whole league. Shadeur is the exhibit, and Gabriel has become the control group that doesn't need any more testing. The front office is watching, charting, debating, projecting, and eventually will spend millions based on a very shaky data set. The coaching staff knows this too. You can hear it in the careful wording every time they speak. Every press conference now has subtext baked into it. Stability is being quietly tested. Accountability is being politely hinted at. Everyone is coaching for two audiences at the same time: the locker room and the people sitting high up in the ownership suite. And speaking of ownership, they're known for the silent goodbye. No dramatic firings, no cameras, no symbolic escorts out the building. Just a slow, polite distance until someone realizes it's time to walk themselves out. If this quarterback pivot doesn't spark momentum soon, that ripple is going to climb the entire ladder, which circles us right back to Gabriel, because his future sits on that same ladder. If the current staff survives the season, he might survive too, even if he never gets another meaningful snap. But if the staff goes, a new regime is going to want a clean slate. Quarterbacks left over from someone else's vision usually end up collecting dust in the corner while the new plan takes over. So now Gabriel exists more as a possibility than a plan. Just a name on a depth chart without a story, a project without a headline, a future without a clear path. And in this league, players without narratives fade faster than the stat sheets they were once graded on. Cleveland, meanwhile, charges forward in its never-ending cycle of rebuilding while insisting it's not rebuilding at all. The Browns don't rebuild, they remix, same track, different verse, new quarterback, familiar chorus. And the fans, as always, get dragged along for the emotional ride with no seatbelt. 1 week it's frustration. One moment it's outrage, the next it's optimism, then it turns into sarcasm and somehow circles right back to hope again. This benching is going to get debated, memed, broken down, remixed, and analyzed over and over until Shadeur has his first truly ugly game. And when that happens, watch how fast the amnesia hits. Suddenly everybody will swear they always believed this pivot was the right move. That's the beauty of football logic. It's flexible. It bends and twists depending on what the scoreboard says. What is certain right now is this: the Browns aren't hedging anymore. The experiment with Gabriel has officially been archived. The rest of 2025 belongs to Shadeur now, and the question hanging over everything is whether he's the real answer or just the next chapter in Cleveland's long-running quarterback saga. There's no safety net left for anyone. No more divided fan camps. No more debates about reps or development or patience. That door shut quietly but firmly, and the next era has already started leaking expectations before the kid even gets fully settled. So here we stand with a benching that feels sudden on the surface, but was honestly building for a long time. A franchise once again trying to find clarity in the middle of controlled chaos. One quarterback watching his opportunity shrink into a tiny footnote on the depth chart, while another steps into the spotlight carrying the weight of an entire organization's future. Cleveland didn't just make a football move, they made a timeline move. And now the whole city is watching to see whether that timeline speeds towards stability or crashes right back into the familiar wall of unanswered questions. Because in this city, the only thing guaranteed is that the next twist is already loading. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more.